welcome to the back office of Bev & Co. This morning. We're filming straight from our desks. Today we're going to talk about what you need to know about home value estimates. Every homeowner, before they go to sell, everybody's guilty of it, going online, searching everywhere they can to see what that home value might be worth. It's kind of like WebMD for real estate. So there's a lot of different home value estimates out there, and we're just going to break down today how they come up with the prices, how they arrive at that. They use a lot of different algorithms, and each one of them is very different. So you could go to 3 different websites and get a different price. Saying you could go to 3 different realtors and get a different price. So there's several big brands that provide home value estimates. Zillow being the biggest with their Zestimate. Everybody's aware of that, and we get that question asked a lot. So let's break it down. What exactly is their home value estimate, and how do they arrive at that? So Zillow is the biggest one around here, so we'll start with that. Zillow pulls information that's publicly available. So that is like tax data, public records. They pull from the Boone County's assessor here locally, past sales. In Missouri, though, we are a non-disclosure state, so sales prices aren't public record. Now, that's not to say homeowners do have the ability to go in to their home and update prices and what it sold for and all that. But a lot of times, like if we put a sale on Zillow, it would just show what the price was listed for. So the Zestimates and the data points they use to arrive at their pricing in our area locally, since the public information, there's not so much available, it can be skewed a little, and there can be a wide range of prices that aren't exactly accurate. 2 of the other big websites that offer home value estimates, and they aren't here locally in our area yet. That's not to say that they aren't going to be someday, so I'll kind of briefly touch on those. Is Open Door. So that is a company that it's more of a cash offers type thing, kind of like our team offers, our cash offers. It's very similar. Their information comes from what a homeowner submits. So they'll submit information about the house and photos, and then the price they give them is actually a cash offer, so to speak. However, that is just a starting point. They do follow up with in-home assessments, very similar to how we do it, but they're not really in our area right now. Redfin is also another big one, and I'm sure most of you have probably heard the name, and they are in Missouri. They are not in Boone or Callaway counties, any of our counties locally, and they actually do pull from the MLS. They pull a lot of data. They have a lot of data points, over 500 data points. So it is really interesting because they do take into consideration the home's views, neighborhood info, busy streets. Since they aren't here locally, we haven't had a lot of experience of how close their estimates are to what we're seeing sales prices as. But, if they do come local, we will keep track of that, and we will update you guys and keep you informed, as new technology and stuff does come into the market, because it'll happen. But we just wanted to give you guys kind of an overview of what these home value estimates are online, and that they are a starting point, but just don't get fixated on them, because they aren't the end all, and then they can range greatly from what the actual sales price of your home will be. If you kind of want to explain, computers can't do it all.
Well, and that's just it, because you can have all the formulas in the world and algorithms and crunch the numbers, but at the end of the day, let's face it, when you walk into a home, it's either an emotional connection or it's not. It either smells good or it doesn't. It is either appealing cosmetically and has been well maintained, or it's not. And that's where you can have all the algorithms in the world, but if it doesn't really fit your lifestyle, if it's not really the school district that you desire, if it's not the backdrop as far as the yard that you're looking for, if it has the busy street, if it's located near a busy road or a highway or a quarry down the road that blasts every day on a daily basis. There are so many other factors that goes into the home buying and selling process and what buyers are looking for. And a lot of it is going to be floor plan. You know, you can get down to bedrooms and baths and all of that, but maybe 2 bedrooms on the main bedroom or on the main floor, or 2 bedrooms in the basement versus 3 on the main floor and 1 in the basement. You know, maybe that's not going to be the right mix for you. And also, it's just kind of quality. It's like you can go into one home that is literally the same house, house for house, on a similar side of town, on a similar lot, but it could be 2 totally different builders and 2 totally different quality of products and brands of appliances and fixtures and faucets that goes into that home. So I always try to tell folks, you know, and we even have this in our listing presentation when we come to meet with sellers, because they're all about, well, this is what Zillow says. Well, sometimes Zillow is low on their pricing, and sometimes Zillow is high on their pricing. And that in between is where we come into play to kind of decipher what are the amenities of your home that really compile what the true value is. What's that added piece that either takes it to another level or perhaps maybe drops it down another tier? And, you know, I can't really express enough the emotional side of buying a home. You either connect or you don't. It's almost like you're going on a date. There's either something there that compels you to be interested and pursue it further, or you walk in and look around and you're just like, nope, this one's not for me. Let's move on. And so that's where I think that, you know, it's a component, but it's just like square footage. Square footage is a component, but it's not the end all. You can have square footage that is $125 a square foot, and you could have square footage that's $225 a square foot. But what's in it that makes it the ingredients of that property, that's the make or break as far as the value being there. And it is subjective to the buyer at the time. It's all about supply and demand.
Well, and going back to like condition, and you can have the same house, same floor plan, same builder, same finishes, but if the house was lived in hard, if it's not clean, if it smells like last night's fish dinner, buyers play so heavily into that, and that affects your price. I mean, I don't know how many times I say, well, this house is filthy, this house stinks, like, just, we're not going to pay that price. So
and it could just be one good deep cleaning and it would be like an amazing property. But an analogy that I use with folks all the time is you can have you're selling 2 cars. One is a dirty car that you haven't cleaned in a while, and the other one just came from the detail shop and is all shined up. But the car that maybe went down the gravel road and has got some cookie crumbs on the floor and maybe a couple sodas spilled, it might not look the best because it's not polished up, but under the hood, it might be the real bomb. It might be the better buy. It might have the better tires as far as the foundation and the guts of the car. Same thing with the house. It's like you can't judge the house by its cover, so to speak, because
pretty sells, and it doesn't matter.
Pretty does. It sells,
I mean, the other
and
house
it smells
have
good.
better bones, but the prettier house typically brings higher prices. I mean, you know, there's a lot to be said about that, and that's something that algorithms can't pick
touch.
up on.
Well, and you have to also take in consideration, we live in a very fast-paced world today, and most of us are ingrained in our work lives, our family lives, our personal lives, and quite frankly, how many of us have time to literally on a weekly basis be detailing and tweaking out our homes and making certain that every little flaw that we know is there, that you're just staying on top of it and you're just maintaining it on a regular basis. We all try to hit the high points, but it's nearly impossible if you're living a full rounded life to hit all of those details as well. And that's where I think that it's all subjective, and it's very, very location driven. I don't care what anybody says. At the end of the day, you could have a really great house, but if it's sitting over here and you've got a really great house sitting over here, if this is the more desirable area, or the perception that it is, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, It's all about the perception and what people deem as far as schools being better and just lifestyle. All of those aspects play such a huge role into the mix. So
if you want a home value estimate, give us a call. We'll come out and take into consideration all of those things that you can see with the human eye and give you as accurate an estimate as we can for the current market we're in.
absolutely. And just know that the Zillow and Redfin and all of those are just a small component, as kind of Cheryl said, because they don't have all the information to give you the full, big, accurate picture. They only kind of get a snippet of what the property's all about. And for what snippets that they get with their algorithms, they do a good job for what they have to work with. But as Cheryl said, being a non-disclosure state, they only get the bits and pieces, and this is where we come into play, where we're in and out of homes on a daily basis. We see what the market's doing. We see the trends when they're going up and when they're coming down. And we can kind of predict a little bit what's happening in the market and when is a good time to buy, when is a good time to sell, and give you some really good advice. Because sometimes people think that they have to do more than what they have to do, or maybe they think there's less that they have to do. And this is where we can kind of come to a meeting of the minds and just basically let you know what the market is willing to bear. Because at the end of the day, it's basically the market dictates the price, it dictates the terms, it dictates pretty much everything. It's all about supply and demand, and that changes constantly. So that's where what you think might have been a year ago probably isn't happening today. And what's going to be happening in the 6 months is probably not going to be what's happening right now. So as Cheryl said, reach out to us. We're more than happy to put our years of experience, give you the best input that we possibly can so that you can make a very good informed decision for you and your family.